It is great to be here on this Wednesday. Kevin and Ben, thanks for making us a part of your day. We'll talk with Cam Rogers of the Believe Network, national betting and golf analyst. He will join us. We'll talk U.S. Open this week as it tees off tomorrow. Who are some of the favorites? And what are we looking at as we get some actual golf? Heaven forbid. Are we actually allowed to talk golf this week? Or is it just what's going on between the people? I mean, think about this, Ben. You have the USGA putting on the U.S. Open, and we're talking about the PGA versus the LIV Tour, while the USGA is putting on their big national open event. I mean, again, it's a crazy week there. We'll talk to Cam Rogers about that. Also, Ben will sit down with Gregory Gibson for Troop Talk this week, and we'll look forward to that coming up in the final hour of the program. We'll check in on Falcons camp. For those who were saying I was seeing a little bit of Russell Wilson in Desmond Ridder, well, I think we might have seen a little bit of Joe Wilson out there today. That's all I'm saying.
At the end of the day, Kevin, listen, you know just like I know, we don't have to do, look, fake love is like fake hype. Don't need it. Don't need it. Just keep it if it's going to be fake. But Desmond Ridder's realizing real fast, just because your phone can say it back to you, you're going to have to say it back to real people. We'll see what happens.
And you're going to have to get into it. We'll tell you about his day there as well. But Ben, I don't know if they're going to lose anytime soon. I thought, again, you just look at the odds. I know BJ is a big proponent of this, but I mean, you see a winning streak like this in a game like baseball, and you just go, this doesn't even make sense right now. And it's not so much that the Braves are winning. They're jumping on teams early. They're putting up 5-6 runs before the other team's allowed to score. And you're just seeing things happen during the streak that you don't see happen very often. Are they playing the monsters of the midway? No, they aren't, but they're taking advantage of the softness of the schedule, which still has, another couple of days to it. It ends with that Cubs series this weekend, and then you jump right back into it. You got the Dodgers coming up next week. They're in I almost said Turner Field, but in Atlanta, and we'll see how the Braves stack up. But you're certainly you utilize some of these things, Ben, to build momentum, right? I mean, people say this all the time in college football. Oh, well, Florida beat, Ball State, and, I don't know, pick another school, New Mexico State. Mm-hmm. They feel real good about themselves. You dang right they do. And they're playing with a lot of confidence going into a game like a Tennessee or something like that. So I think the Braves use this to really find themselves. Michael Harris has been a revelation, playing alongside Ronald Acuna in the outfield, batting ninth behind a resurging Adam Duvall. I mean, you're getting it from everybody, Ben. Everybody. Travis d'Arnaud hits a home run last night. Oh, man, Ozzie Albies goes down. Orlando Garcia goes deep. Like, I'm not saying that's going to be every night, but you literally can't pinpoint it and say, boy, Acuna is carrying this team right now. Oh, he's playing well. He's playing really well, but it's been a different cat every single night.
Kevin, I'm gonna say this until the Braves prove me wrong. Culture supersedes talent. Culture supersedes momentum. Arcia, we talked about him stepping in last night, right? We understand Ozzie's gonna be out for at least 60 days. Goes yard. Somebody told Travis d'Arnaud, look, I wanna. Hey man, they still doing all-star voting. You trying to get you some late votes in?
That's right.
And what did we say about starting pitching when it comes to the Braves? If their bats are mashing, they are going to be hard to beat. They jumping on teams early and late, by the way. The same team that can score 8 runs in one inning. And because anybody could be the guy that night, it could be Ozuna, it could be Acuna, it could be Ozuna, it could be Olsen, it could be Riley. Now it could be Arcia. d'Arnaud is. I mean, he mashing with the best of them right now. He's saying, look, man, I want to be able to be a focal point, to be able to, because like we say, Kevin, when you talk about that outfield and what he can bring to the table, different things, I just like that the Braves understand this. No matter what, we still chasing the Mets. No matter what, we don't want to. The thing about the wild card is, yeah, you could be first in the wild card, second in the wild card. No, man. We want to control our own destiny. We want people coming to us. We want to be able to say, and it's a lot of pride. We can talk about winning these divisions, man. Most teams are just in the division. They just make up, But I think when you talk about what this Braves team has showed last night, Kevin, isn't it crazy? Going into the game, it was all about Ozzy. RC. Coming out of the game, 13 in a row. And that's what Ozzy is going through now in one game. What Ronald Acuna Jr. had to do for the rest of the season. Dude, yeah, you think they're going to miss me? Not from what I saw. Like, yeah, your impact, yeah, what you do in the dugout. But as far as like that lineup, dude, the Braves are, this is how well the Braves are playing. We understand up there in New York, talking about the Mets, talking about the Yankees. I get it. But the Mets got to show that they got staying power because maybe Kevin, that 10.5 games back, really told the Braves, look, man, if we're going to do it, we need to do it now. And you said it. Going into June, we were saying, look, you know what? We're rapidly approaching the 20th.
Right.
And look at what the Braves are. I just, what I like about it is they having fun. They mashing. They playing good defense. Pitching is, our starting pitching is doing incredible. Obviously, the bullpen is doing incredible. When all three phases, all phases of baseball is doing well with really no hiccups, and Ozzy is out for 60 days, and we ain't even talking about Mike Soroka. I'm telling you, man, this Braves team, I mean, you don't got to like it, but when you talk about an incredible franchise that's really saying, look, we don't want to have that World Series hangover, got to love what you're saying right now.
A nice note from Dave O'Brien with the Athletic. This time a year ago, after 63 games, the Braves had a losing record and were 5 games behind the Mets in the East. This year, they have a winning record and are 5 games behind the Mets in the National League East. The Braves right now, Ben, have hit the most home runs in the National League. I mean, it's fun to watch. Every single night, it's like, boom, there's another one. And it's not even close. I think they're like 14 or 15 ahead of the next closest team in terms of team home runs. They are mashing the baseball. I think this is what everybody foresaw with this team, is like, when it clicks, when it comes together, man, like this is a team that is going to pound out runs. There's not maybe you look at RC if he goes, but when you look at it and say, look, there's not a whole lot of what you would consider relaxing out. Dansby Swanson playing out of his mind. He's hitting in between Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna. If I was scouting the Braves from the outside in, I would normally look at it and say, okay, maybe that's a chance to get it out. He's batting in between two and he's on a tear. Matt Olson has really picked it up offensively. You would say, okay, maybe Travis d'Arnaud's a guy. He's picked it up offensively. Adam Duvall, you kind of figured he wasn't going to hit 180 for the season. He's picked it up offensively. Oh, they're bringing up this young buck, Michael Harris. Play really good defense. How well is he going to hit? Never been above double-A ball. I think only played a couple of weeks, a double-A ball. How's he going to hit? Oh, he's hitting 300 and doing just fine. I don't know have the Braves lost since he's been caught. I guess they have, but I mean, he's come up and done just fine, Ben. 2 home runs, and he's hitting 9th. Where do you go to get an out right now in this Braves lineup? I think that's a real question. Orlando Arcia. Okay, he's filling in. He leaves the yard last night. And that's the guy that you're hoping can fill in over the course of this absence by Ozzy Albies, but showing he's got something in the tank. Yep. Now, if he goes 0 for his next 28 or something, but where do you go to get an out right now with this Braves team? There is not an easy guy to pitch to. And I think, look, you hold him down. And the way I see it is, if I'm the other team, you are looking at this thing going, can we keep the dam from bursting? No runs. Uh-oh, it's a 6-run inning. And that's where the Braves have been really good at jumping on people, where you're in the ball game and then boom, within 1 inning, it feels like it's gotten out of control. And to me, it's just, there's not a moment right now. There's not a moment of relaxation if I'm an opposing pitcher with this lineup right now. There just isn't.
The one thing that you could do, Kevin, I think everything you just mentioned means one thing: aggressive. The Braves are very, very aggressive at the plate because they can be. The Braves are very, very aggressive, on the mound because they can be. And that makes for a very, very dangerous team. You mentioned anybody in this lineup can hurt you now. I realize Arcia just got here. I get it. And let's face it, Arcia, Harris, they're going to give them opportunities to go out there and figure this thing out. We get that part. Darno is hot, right? Olsen could get hot. Riley could get hot. Dansby Swanson playing so well. We forget he could not hit the broadside of a barn when the season first started. Yeah. And look at how well and to me, that just shows how well this team is. It's almost like, Kevin, expectation for the Braves is always different because, like you just said, when the Braves are think about the opposing team. They saying, look, man, even if you have a good inning, that's not really a microcosm of how this team plays. Why? Because when they jump on you, they jump on you, and they jump on you early, and they jump on you late. So if you go, hey man, 3 innings, we good. Next thing, fourth inning, they score 4, they score 5, and I think that you can see the confidence that's with the starting pitching. But yeah, Kevin, we said it, and once again, Kevin, you have to tell me they're still, to me, not playing their absolute best.
I mean, it's pretty good.
And I think what's crazy is the one this is crazy. The one they really don't want to start mashing is Acuna, because he can go off at any given moment. You love what they're doing right now, Kevin. They finding a way to control what they can't control. The Mets knew that this was going to be a fight to the finish, and like you said, Kevin, give yourself something. Give yourself some breathing room, before All-Star break, because after the All-Star break, I mean, it's a fight to the finish. But you got to love the Braves. The fact that they down Ozzie Albies and they still finding a way 13 in a row, that's hard to do in baseball, man. I don't care who you are, even if you are the Yankees.
Yeah.
But I just think that what this Braves team is doing is showing that, hey, man, you can never count this Braves team out, and I think they're making the whole division good.
Yeah, look, and again, they've made a little separation between themselves and the Phillies now, and they're about equidistant, I think, between the Mets and the Phillies on either side of them. So you've separated from the bottom half. You're chasing down the front half. I don't know that the Mets are going to, when I say the Mets are going to Met, they'll come back to the Braves. Is this Mets team? I think especially when they get Scherzer and DeGrom back, I think they have a gear they can kick it into. And my goodness, if you want to feel nervous about something, go look at that last month's schedule. The last month of the Mets schedule kind of looks like what the Braves are running through right now, where there should be a lot of opportunities for them to win ball games. So you want to put as much distance as you can, or make that as tight as possible, so that every game in September really is, hey, we got to win, and we got to find out what they did as well. So, man, the Braves are playing really well, going for 14 in a row tonight. I don't even know what to say about them at this point. Spencer Strider, the young fireballer, going for the Braves. We'll have more on that. We'll take you up to Braves coverage today here, 5:50 coming up a little bit later this afternoon. So much to get to on the show. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We'd love to hear from you. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, as I mentioned, and YouTube. Go to ESPN Coastal on YouTube, and you can follow us along every day. You can see Second Down, all the stuff we do there, specifically just for video. You can find right there at ESPN Coastal on YouTube, and of course, ESPNCoastal.com. You can go to as well. Listen to the show live. Get some other updated sports news and more. We're coming right back. We're talking U.S. Open. Cam Rogers going to join us. Who's the favorite this week, and who's going to win this showdown between the PGA and the Live Tour? I mean, what do you do if, I know everybody says they can't. What if Phil actually plays okay? What if Dustin Johnson is second and Rory McIlroy is first? Because the talking point is, it's all a bunch of washed up guys on the Live Tour taking a paycheck. What happens if DJ's right there on top of the leaderboard? Could get very interesting. We'll talk about that with Cam Rogers when we come back. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Wednesday. U.S. Open coming up tomorrow. Boy, it has been quite a couple of weeks here across the golfing world, needless to say, with all the LIV Tour, the PGA, and now the USGA kind of in the middle of it all. And joining us here from Believe Network, the national betting and golf analyst for Believe, it is Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 and Out. Cam, welcome. How are you?
What's going on, guys? Great to be with you. A lot to talk about in the world of golf. It has been a surreal last few weeks, no doubt.
And again, it seems to me like I mentioned this to Ben, like the USGA is putting on the U.S. Open. And so on some level, I appreciate some of the guys who are like, look, this is the U.S. Open. Can we talk about this? But the USGA is here putting on their tournament, and we're talking about the PGA, and we're talking about the LIV Tour and how this, I guess, back and forth between these two is all going to play out. And I think it was Brooks Koepka's like, you're taking away from one of the majors here.
Well, listen, I think there are journalists out there who have to do their job. They have to ask these questions. It very much is an important story because we have never really had a situation like this, certainly for me in my lifetime, in terms of a rival tour, which is posing as a real rival. We're talking about Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, potentially even Brooks Koepka going on over to this LIV Golf Tour. So there are going to be some ramifications from that as far as the PGA Tour is concerned. And also the USGA is allowing these LIV golfers to play in the US Open despite all of these LIV golfers being suspended by the PGA Tour. I mean, it's a wild story. And if you have players who are getting mad about getting asked about that, like, are you living under a rock? Like, you should have expected this.
Hey, Cam, is this good for golf, though? As we mentioned it, I mean, outside of Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, you didn't get a lot of rivalries as far as, like, players when it came to golf. But at the end of good publicity, bad publicity, all eyes are going to be on the LIV Tour or versus the PGA from as long as, I mean, at least for the next year or so.
Listen, I'm on your show talking about it right now. I think it's fantastic. It's getting the conversation going. To your point, Bryson and Brooks was great, but that's over. So what's next now? And I think we have some real animosity between these two different areas of golf. You have this dichotomy, guys, where it's like some players are for legacy and morals, if you will, like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, and others are for their paycheck. And who am I to criticize either direction, really? Everybody has to make their own decision here. And so, going forward, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how many PGA Tour players the LIV Tour can cherry pick, if you will, over to their golf league, and whether this actually creates a legitimate rivalry. It really could going forward. And honestly, I bet it's super awkward in that locker room at the US Open right now in terms of guys interacting.
Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 and Out. And Cam, to me, that's what everybody's waiting for, right? It is the LIV Tours out there. We all know what it is. Mm-hmm. They still get to play the majors for now. To me, everybody's sitting back and saying, what is the real blowback here on Phil and Dustin Johnson and others? Because a lot of people are saying, hey, look who you're getting the money from. And the other people on the other side will say, well, look who you're getting the money from or are doing business with, PGA Tour. And I think people are waiting to see if there's not a lot of fan blowback on these guys, maybe they can coexist. Obviously, these guys want to play the majors. I'll start there. They're playing this week. Do you think the Masters and the Open Championship, the Royal and Ancient, are going to say, I mean, at the end of the day, we can invite who we want. It doesn't appear to be a big deal. We're going to let them play.
That's the nightmare scenario for the PGA Tour, right, guys? Because in theory, you could cash out on the LIV Tour and yet still play in the 4 major championships every single year. Important distinction to your point. RNA, the PGA, Augusta National Golf Club, and the USGA all run their respective major championships. So the PGA Tour has nothing to do with them. And so, you have the US Open, which prides itself on just that, being open. Anybody can qualify. Anybody's allowed in. So that's their logic. Probably going to be the same logic with the RNA at the Open Championship, the British Open. Hey, we're open. Come and play if you qualify. What is really going to be interesting is what Augusta National is going to do. And my prediction is they will shut it down to LIV golfers unless you have won a Masters before. Because if you've won a Masters before, you have lifetime exemption, and so you're fine from there. The PGA will be interesting as well. And so I think it's going to be a really intriguing storyline to watch, and we won't get a decision from the PGA or Augusta National anytime soon. We will, of course, hear from the Open pretty soon. But, if 2 allow and 2 don't, I mean, it's just going to be a funky situation. I mean, think about this, guys. In a microcosm of this wild story, Phil Mickelson is going for the career Grand Slam as a suspended member of the PGA Tour. I mean, it's just insane.
I know everybody get into the whole moral, compass of the guys that took the money from LIV, and we understand that. But I think the PGA, they really dropped the ball on this whole loyalty thing. They was thinking that they're loyal to the PGA, but at the end of the day, when people say, quote, they did it for the money. No, if you're a pro golfer, all of y'all do it for the money. You, as Kevin mentioned, you just don't like the fact that I didn't want to take money from this entity.
Exactly. And listen, I think the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, got a little too fat and happy, a little too complacent about this whole LIV Golf Tour situation. Like, oh, nobody's going to leave. And look, Phil, DJ, Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, all these guys are major champions. Patrick Reed, they're all going over here to cash out. And so if you're Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, you sort of have to huddle up with your inner circle and be like, guys, how do we improve the tour? Because this is a serious threat. How do we make this better? And so the logic is you bring in more fans, you bring in more ad revenue, you bring in better TV packages. That means bigger purses, and that means more money for PGA Tour players. So hopefully the takeaway here for the PGA Tour is to improve things and sort of make the LIV Golf Tour an afterthought. Now, LIV could go on forever, guys. I mean, there's an endless amount of money here with the Saudi-backed league. But it's just a question of who's tuning in and how many people will tune in. Stay tuned on that because, first of all, it's not going to last if we're just doing YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Like, they got to find a TV partner.
Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 to the golf this week. I mean, obviously, this would be intriguing. I don't know if Phil's played enough to have a shot to win it, but what if Dustin Johnson and Rory are, 3 and 4 going into Saturday? I mean, this is going to get awful interesting, not only from a golf standpoint, but for everything we just talked about. Do any of those guys who have crossed over have a legitimate shot to come out and win this week?
Yeah, I really don't think anybody from the LIV Tour does. Phil Mickelson hasn't played on tour in quite some time, and last week he wasn't all that great. His putting was horrible. Dustin Johnson has been pretty rough so far in 2022. I give a slight to Patrick Reed, only because he's steadily getting better. He's great around the greens, has really good course history at the U.S. Open. And I think this could be somewhat of a scramble fest this week, guys. We're talking about the Country Club, the second smallest greens in major championship history. So if everybody's missing greens, everybody's in the same bucket. And it comes down to who are the best players around those greens, Patrick Reed being one of them. But we got to handicap this too. Like, all the distractions and all the questions they're getting about LIV, right? How does that sort of cloud their mentality, if you will, trying to win a U.S. Open? It's hard enough. Then you throw in the fact that the media is all over you. You got to think about that too.
I know that most of the times when you are a pro anything, it's all about your legacy. How are they going to remember me when my playing days are over? Phil Mickelson. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about a guy that's been in the media for the wrong reason. Then you talk about the LIV and taking the money, which some people like and some people don't. What is Phil Mickelson's legacy at this current juncture?
Phil Mickelson is one of the more confusing characters in golf history, right? We're talking about a guy who has obviously gone through different layers of his career. First of all, it took him forever to win a major championship. He finally won a major. Then he started rattling off more major wins. And then, he sort of developed this persona as Mr. Thumbs Up family man, signing autographs till the sun goes down. But also there's this aspect to him where obviously he has a massive ego. He's got a gambling problem. He's cashing out on $200 million, perhaps because of that gambling problem. And, known for his awful apologies, throwing Tom Watson under the bus at the Ryder Cup. So you see that there are so many different layers to Phil Mickelson. That's why there's a biography about him by Alan Shipnuck, and I definitely want to read it at some point. So in terms of his legacy, I would say very confusing. And I am sort of struggling with my own self in terms of actually generating an opinion on his legacy. Hey, he's a Hall of Famer. Brandel Chambly went out and said, get him out of the Hall of Fame. That's a ridiculous tweet. I don't know why he said that. And so, in that regard, he's done some good things for the game. I think the matches have been a great thing, guys, against Tiger, and you have Mahomes and all these guys getting involved. It's been great for charity as well. So there are a lot of layers to it. And obviously you got to allow for people to make their own judgment.
All right, Cam Rogers joining us here. Give us your favorite this week there at the Country Club to bring home a major championship. Are we looking at a first-time winner? Who you got?
Yes, we are. Xander Schauffele is my pick to win. First-time winner in terms of the majors, of course. Depending on where you look, 22-1, something along those lines in the outright market. 5 top 10s and 5 U.S. Open appearances. Only Bobby Jones back in 1920 has a longer streak at this tournament. 7th on tour, tee to green, 8th in strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds. The best sand player in this field, top 10 in bogey avoidance as well. He's built for U.S. Opens. I think it's time for him, guys.
So there you go. Take it to the bank. You can follow Cam on Twitter. Great Twitter handle, by the way, Mr. Rogers 99. Won't you be his neighbor there on Twitter all day long? Cam, we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Great catching up with you.
Appreciate it. Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 and Out, part of the Believe Network there as he covers golf as national betting analyst there as well. And certainly a lot of intricacies, as he said, just outside of the golf, but how do you factor in what's happening outside of the golf course into how guys play this week? To me, that's very interesting because the first couple of days have been nothing but questions about why are you playing over there, and guys coming out saying, well, why would you go play over there? This is the best. You know, I mean, it's kind of been like the stump speech versus the defense of why you're playing over there. And so far, the first 2-3 days this week.
Kevin, the library is officially closed when you talk about golf right now because everybody's talking, right? Rory, it's almost like the PGA versus the Live guys. He's saying like they're taking the easy road, and Live guys saying this. I just say this. When you talk about golf, what makes you, unless you're just a lover of golf or just a lover of the game, you're going to follow certain guys, you're going to watch. Controversy sells. And right now, you got a bunch of guys, because no matter what, I didn't get a chance to ask Cam, but how many guys that didn't go with the Live Tour behind the scenes saying, who I turned away a lot of money, and at the end of the day,
well, I mean,
just like anything else, Kevin, this is going to have its 30 days of headlines, and it's going to die like anything else.
I mean, but here's the thing: is it done yet? I mean, because again, there's a lot of people that think you read into guys' comments, and you have guys that are kind of tossing aside, like Brooks Koepka. Hey guys, we're at the U.S. Open. Why are we letting all this bring a dark cloud over a golf championship, a golf major? Right? Didn't say anything about it. And a lot of people said, is Brooks just waiting till the majors are over and then he's going to jump and take the money? And again, I think some of the guys, because as you said, the Live Tour has as much money as they care to use to try to lure guys away. It's not just like $1 billion. I mean, they got several, I think it's hundreds of billions of dollars, but I think they've committed several tens of billions of dollars to this thing.
Wow.
So the faucet is open, right? They can afford to go after guys. How much are guys like Brooks Koepka, who has largely come out and is like, look, no offense, I don't care about playing in Phoenix. I don't care about playing in Wisconsin. I care about the majors. If he knows he can play in those things, why wouldn't he go? I mean, there's a lot of people who think, hey, maybe he's waiting on this and the British Open or the Open Championship to be played, and then he jumps. Yeah. So I think there's still a lot of people who think there are more golfers who are ready to jump. They're playing the majors and then going for the payday.
Well, the whole thing about it is too. Even with Brooks saying something, I don't care about playing in Phoenix. Brooks, you're a pro
he didn't say that specifically, but that's kind of what
you're a pro golfer. I mean, you play every day. You have to play golf. So think about your home course. Think about if you somebody saying, "Do I care about it?" No, you don't care about it. But think about not caring about it and still making that much money for playing in it. Think about making more money in non-majors. Now, you're going to make more money than you've ever made in golf, not even in golf, period. And I get it. The whole moral thing, I am not taking away anybody who decided I'm not gonna be able to take money from those guys. All right. But you're thinking about it. Because like you said, Kevin, the PGA is going to really have to decide, all right, man, how are we really going to do this moving forward? Because we don't want to ostracize every single person because of what they did, because what's going to happen to you know how it is, Kevin. Somebody behind the scenes say, man, you might have to make a public apology, because if these guys start winning majors, right, then what are you gonna do? Like you mentioned, if it is Rory, Dustin Johnson, in 3 and 4 on the leaderboard. Hey man, I don't necessarily think, because you know who's loving it? The Live Tour is loving all of it. Give us all the publicity we can get. We don't care about if you like us or don't like us, because at the end of the day, man, money talk no matter what. But when Cam said the PGA is going to have to do something to accommodate, what are those accommodations going to actually look like?
Well, I mean, I think one that I think is coming is, hey, look, I'm not saying I'm going to leave. I'm Rory McIlroy, but Jay, guys, they're taking care of the caddies. Like, The caddies are getting money. They're living like, take care of those guys, right? Like when they're out here with us every week, those guys are getting paid. They're getting cuts, right? Hey, my guy I'm caddying for in the Live Tour ain't getting cut, which means what? Cha-ching, I'm getting something just for going. Earning my way as a caddy, who obviously does not make as much as the golfers. You got golf caddies on the PGA Tour going, listen, every week we show up. I wear a bib. That bib has sponsors on it. I have to carry it around for the PGA Tour. Do I get a cut of that? No, I do not. I'm a walking billboard for the PGA Tour each and every week. I don't get a guaranteed cut. My lodging doesn't get paid for. I come out of my pocket and I make way less than the guy I'm holding the bag for. Like, well, unless I'm bagging for Tiger or something. If my guy's scrambling to make 10 grand a week, well, guess what? Do the quick math. Let's say I get 10%. That's $1,000. I paid for my air flight. I had to stay somewhere for a week. I had to pay food. So you might have, then Uncle Sam's going to take their cut. I might have done all that for at the end of the day to net a couple $100. God forbid he doesn't make the cut. I get zero. So I think if I'm the PGA Tour guys, I'm going to PGA Tour. Hey, guarantee something for the caddies. So each week they're taken care of on some of the base stuff, like pay for them to get here, pay for them to have a place to stay, or come up with caddy lodging, whatever you want to do. Take care of them from that standpoint and let their money go further. I think that's one thing that's absolutely going to happen. We'll come back with more. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Rumor.
Till the Phantom pull up. No, he looked like Desmond. That's who he looked like. And I don't want to be hearing no more of this. Don't compare nobody to. No, he looks like Desmond Ritter Sr. Hopefully he's a junior. That's who he should look like, his daddy. He don't look like nobody else.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like the D Orlando reporting from minicamp today said, look, they were running 7-on-7s, which is all the craze around high school football, and certainly you're going to do it. Basically, no linemen in play.
Yep.
1 of 4 during one of the 7-on-7 periods, which for those of you keeping score at home, not particularly great, and actually tucked it and tried to run it on a 7-on-7, which you can't do. So, look, the head is spinning, and that's not a criticism. I'm not supposed to say that's not a criticism of Desmond Ritter, but more of just the wake-up call. You've if you've listened to this show, you've heard Ben say, look, I don't care who you are, tight end, running back, defensive end, your head is spinning right now in rookie minicamp and in minicamp and when you go to training camp. And most of these guys aren't playing quarterback. It's going to be a process. And that's why a lot of people, got excited when it was just a couple of guys out there throwing a football. Well, guess what? The playbook's getting thicker by the day. The reads are becoming more complex by the day. And you've got to be on top of all that. And I think you knew a struggle was coming, which is why people who said he should start over Marcus Mariota were insane. Right? I mean, it's again, I just look at this more as a wake-up call of like, look, is he going to be good? Maybe. But it ain't going to happen now because, again, you're a rookie learning a playbook. And Ben, I'm just going by what you said. He said, look, when I was a tight end, they wanted me to do 2 things. I was either going to block or I was going to run a route. That's what I was going to do. I didn't have to know what some of these other guys were doing. I was going to block or I was going to run a route. And you said, look, I was all over the place. I can only imagine what it's like being a quarterback in the National Football League right now, where you, as you said, are trying to learn schemes, packages, what you're trying to do as an offense.
It's rough. It's rough because the thing about Desmond, he has to know everything. Like when I say everything, not only do we got to know the offense and the terminology and the concepts, and the passing schemes and the blocking games and where the strength is, he got to know what the defense is doing. He got to know. Is that 2 high? Is that 1 high? Is that 2 man? Is that 2 cloud? Is that cover 3? Is that cover 4? And I think that what people don't seem to understand about this is your job. You got to know who's your high. Who's your first read? When do I got to know the battle is over? When do I got to throw the ball away? When do I check from this? Here's another thing. If I check out of a run into a pass and the defense check into they get into a run defense, do I check back out of it? Do I go oh easy, repeat, which they ain't gonna say repeat. I just think the thing that people don't get about a guy like Desmond Ritter is when people hear everything he's trying to do, knowing it and applying it is 2 totally different things. I got to know how to say it first. There are guys that do this, and it's not crazy. If you are the wife or girlfriend of an NFL quarterback, you know plays like him. You sit in the house going, no, because You got to hear over all it is saying the same thing, saying the same things, right?
And reportedly, he recorded the plays into his phone.
Yeah.
And plays them back so he could hear the play call and repeat. And look, I get it. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player. I'm just saying it is a lot to expect he was going to ever walk in there and be the starter from the jump over a guy who's played in the league.
Yeah.
There's a big get up to speed because, as you said, Ben, it's all happening fast. You even said this. You went the wrong way. Stop. Why don't you know where you're going? Plays over. Do it like
exactly.
You can't do it.
Yeah. And the
reason it's moving quick.
And the reason why I say it is this. When a coach says, it's disrespectful for you to not know what you're supposed to do, this is your job. What coaches do now is do this. They'll go, hey, man, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, got chill with the fan. Should have been in your playbook. Man, what'd you do yesterday? Oh, man, I should have been in your playbook. Because this is your job. You ain't got class on Monday. You ain't got to study for a test. When Desmond Ridder looks at those other 10 guys, they expect him to know what to call, know where they're going to be on the call, and be able to adjust on the fly. That's playing the quarterback position. The reason why Tom Brady came back is bigger than the fact that he loves to compete. He goes, dude, I love it. I love calling plays. I love the fact that this young cornerback think he's finna pick me off. I've seen them all, done them all, right? And he says, I know the quarterback and play the quarterback position better than this guy. I'm not better than him. I play better than him. And the thing about Desmond, you have to engulf yourself and say to yourself, dude, I love it. I got to love calling plays. I got to love getting guys lined up. I got to know, why I shouldn't have made that throw. I got to know why I shouldn't have. Because sometimes a coach will call a play in a specific defense to see if he's going to check out. Call the play. And the coach is saying, look at the safety. Look at Desmond. And Desmond run the play. Like, Desmond, why that play? Desmond, you can't run that. Listen, everybody knows, okay? If it's too high, that's two safeties in the back, we running it. If it's one high, that means we got one more play we can't block, we're throwing it. Never in the history of quarterback is it going to be any different. But this one thing I had to learn when it comes to the NFL. When I got interviewed after a game, they said, man, you got kids? No, I don't got kids. Man, you got what? No, I don't got kids. And then my teammate let me do the interview. All the media walk away. He goes, I got a wife. I got 3 kids that go to private school. So every time you drop a pass, we lose the game. I don't get an incentive. We don't make it to the playoffs. That's extra money that I don't get. You do got kids. What happened to you happened to me. What happened to you happened to us. And Mike Munchak said it this way. He said, in life, you do things to get it right. Pros, we do it so we don't know how to get it wrong. That is being a pro. I don't know how to get. Now I could get it wrong, but I know why I got it wrong. Desmond, this is the big time, man. And everybody.
I don't want people to think I'm hating on him.
I'm not coming to Desmond, but Kevin, it's like this, and this is no offense. Podcasting ain't radio. It is not. And that's nothing to a great podcaster, right? But if you take a podcast and say, hey man, I need you to go do this show for me the next 2 weeks. Well, a podcast says go. No commercial breaks. I'm gone. Next thing you know, speaking out. And I had to learn you're disrespecting the game when you don't know what you need to do, because what coaches do, they're not going to call the play they know you know. They're going to call the plays they know you ain't even looked at part of it. Call this. You like, look at that. Because coach play. So all I know is with Desmond Ridder, his head is spinning. But by the time training camp coming, boy, he better know that playbook, because it's going to be, that's the thing, Kevin, quarterbacking is, I got to know everything. And I know he's 21, 22-year-old rookie, man. But hey, man, as the coach said, you cash checks, yeah.
Well, that's why I was when people started saying stuff like, man, I really get Russell Wilson vibes. That's why I was like, look, just slow down. Let him breathe and try to play this thing first. Because then you get practices like today where it's like, hey, 707, like you can't even tackle guys, right? I mean, it's your running routes is basically glorified 2-hand touch.
And you can't get hit anyway as a quarterback.
Yeah. So I mean, it's glorified 2-hand touch. So if you're 1 of 4 on that, that's tough. If you're tucking the ball and running, that's tough. That's usually the universal sign for I got sacked, right? Yeah. When you see that in 7-on-7, quarterback just tucks it like you're sacked. Be in. So there's going to be days like that. Yeah. That's why I like Desmond Ridder. I just want people to pump the brakes and let him learn the NFL game.
When you watch that tape,
otherwise you're going to see Blaine Gabbert out there.
When Jeff Fisher used to say, "Hey man, look, don't wear your feelings on your sleeve. That means you're going to have to deal with some. You're going to have to deal with some tough coaching. But if you can understand why you doing it, if you can understand why I'm coming at you, Desmond, you can't make that throw. I don't care how big of an arm you got. That's 2 guys covering 1 guy, and both the guys covering the 1 guy are faster than the guy you throwing it to. Can't get it. That's AJ Terrell. He's in the top 5 of cornerbacks. But if you can make throws against AJ Terrell, you can make throws against most cornerbacks in football because he's top 5. But if he keeps picking you off every single time, you got to realize, hey, you got to know that ain't it. Now, he gonna smile at you, and he ain't running back because he's tired. But in the game, that's a pick 6. You right back on the field, throwing at him again. You know what gives the defense energy? Scoring points or turnovers, getting off the field. Because now they got time to rest. It ain't for the weak, but hey man, welcome to the big times. This is what it is. And mind you, I'm rooting for Desmond, but I know, listen, if my position was hard at tight end, I don't even want to know what a quarterback has because every meeting room, he got to know what they're saying in every meeting room. I don't know what they're saying in his, but he got to know what they're saying in mine. And he got to be able to pick it up.
We've got more to come. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We'll come back. Hour number 2 right around the corner. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Nice to have you along here on this Wednesday. We've got the Braves coming up in a couple hours here, a little bit later tonight, trying to go for 14 in a row. So glad to have you along here on the show. Ben had to step out, so we are going to be without Ben for the remainder of the show. I think we'll have an emergency fill-in. PJ Zuko stepping in. On the spot, are you ready? And yes, Stetson Bennett stepping in with no clue of what's about to happen.
Not at all. Yeah, no. but I feel like Stetson had some practice, right? I mean, it's like...
Well, we're taking 3, so here we go.
I don't think second down's practice at all. Second down's the main show.
Are you ready? Here we go.
Right?
I mean, you're right into it.
Okay. Well,
so... With no,
what's funny is like,
I'm just saying the music's rolling. We're in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you catch your breath after this segment, but hey, here we go.
Yep.
Take 1. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see fake Klay Thompson?
No.
You didn't see this? Okay. So fake Klay. There's a guy. I'll pull it up. There's a guy that looks exactly like fake Klay, like Klay Thompson.
Did he have another showing? Is that because
no, he was
years ago there was a
no. This was a guy. He went to the game the other night.
Okay, all right.
He actually posted video on his social media of him driving up, looking like Klay Thompson, because he does look like Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, where's the players' lot?" And the security's like taking selfies with him. He drives in under the arena, parks, gets on the floor, and shoots warm-ups. Early pregame as Klay, and then they find out about him, and they, like, "Hey, man, you can't be doing that." Well, they banned him from the Chase Center. My question in take 1 is, should they actually be welcoming him, though, as fake Klay Thompson?
Like in the future?
Like now? Like, why did you even ban him in the first place?
No, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, is like, you did this to yourself. You're the ones that allowed him. Like, you got to be able to, even if someone, looks like someone else, you got to have some sort of more recollection of, hey, that's not Klay Thompson, right? There's got to be some sort of telltale sign. And, I have seen the guy before. Yeah. I have.
He looks just like him.
Yeah, no, that's insane. I have seen him before, and he does look just like him there, but there's no way he sounds like Klay Thompson, right? There's no way he drives
it's scary how close he does look.
There's no way he drives the same car as Klay Thompson and things like that. So, like, I know you have different security workers and everything, but we've seen it all the time, right? There's plenty of videos of guys walking through the tunnel of security workers and different workers around the stadium. They're like fist bumping, like, yeah, I've seen this guy for years now, blah, blah, blah. Klay Thompson is not like he just started playing with Golden State. So, like, first of all, you got yourself in your own situation, Golden State, and to cover your behinds by banning him is like, sure, did he do something wrong? Yeah. Is it a security issue? If there was any sort of, bad intent from him while this happened? Yes, absolutely. Like, I'm kind of with some of the players when they start talking about that kind of stuff. And again, you could use this guy as like a mascot of some kind, right? Like, you can use this in a positive way, and they just completely threw that out the window by banning him for life. So that's a little ridiculous.
I think there's a petition to unban him. Look, you got to embrace that. Like, to me, right? You, like, if I was like the Braves, there's a guy walking around that like looks like, I don't know, Ronald Acuna Jr., and he somehow sneaks into the locker room. Like, hey, you can't be in here, obviously, but we might use you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Look, I think that's a ridiculous thing.
For like stunts and gimmicks.
Because
like
to me, it's one thing if you're like, hey, I snuck into the Super Bowl, or there's people that try to do this.
Yeah.
It's another thing if it's like, no, your security people were too stupid to know that really wasn't Klay.
Yeah.
So it's your fault he got in there.
Exactly.
It's like granted, he wasn't supposed to be there, but he rolled up and said, hey, where's the players' parking lot? And you didn't say, hey, man, like, I know we played 40 home games here, but yeah, it looks close enough. Come on. Like, nobody, like, at any checkpoint said, dude, like, you're not Klay. Turn around. Like, I get in today's social media, the risk is like, hey, I tell him he's not Klay, and then I wind up on but I'd rather be on social media saying I thought he wasn't Klay than the guy who's not Klay gets let in. That's on you, Golden State. Don't ban him.
Yep.
Don't ban the guy.
No,
That's on you. All right, moving along. Take two. I heard you guys talking about this on second down. So like any good person would do, I stole it.
Good.
So
That's fantastic. That's what you should do. No, agree.
So I heard this topic. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to steal it. So I did. Take two. Who thinks they are a blue blood of college football, but they aren't really?
Oh man, that's great because I have the top one. I have one on the top of the list. Michigan. I know people,
they have, but remember,
Sure.
listen. I will push back because I know you have your Michigan hate on because of Penn State. Listen, are they not the winningest program in college football?
Are they?
I think they are. They have the most wins all time of anybody in college football. Go check me on that if you want. I'm sure somebody will yell at me.
I should
and do
probably
it.
check that. That's probably something that I should check before I say something like that. But I mean, I just
So if they're not, who is? We've won more games than anybody that's ever played college football at the major college level.
yeah,
You're not a blue blood. Okay, well, if you're not, who is?
You've been around forever.
Hey,
you've been
fair enough.
7-5 for
I'm just trying to push back
so
against
many
it here.
years. I mean, that's my thing is like, when's your cut? That's the other argument is like, when's your cutoff for blue bloods of college football right now? Because I think there are some that like, if we're talking about all timers, Army's probably got to be up there, right? Because I mean, they've had a bunch of different, huge players back in the day that put up ridiculous stat lines. They've won championships, plenty of them, and have been a program that's been around forever. I'm sure has plenty of wins. But do we think of them as a blue blood right now? No way. And if you do, that's kind of wild. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. Like Michigan is the first one that comes to mind because it's fallen off, right? Like, sure, they just beat Ohio State. Were they just in the playoff for? Yeah, for sure. Then again, if you look at their overall production and just what they've really done in the past 30 or 40 years, it's not a whole lot. There's a championship thrown in there, sure, but you've won one championship, I think, since like 1960. Not a lot of big wins. Several years where you've barely won over 7 or 8 games, really. I mean, it's just that's the thing is they're called a blue blood and they're thought they're one of these blue bloods because 1, they've been around forever. 2, sure, they've won a ton of games, but 3, they're always in the conversation of being a great team. But have they ever really been that great of a team? Like, it is what it is.
I thought I heard you guys mention one, Nebraska. I thought that was kind of very interesting.
I think they've fallen off.
They have because like I think people was like in the 90s, 80s, they were right there in that discussion. Been around a long time. Were good. Even Frank Solich took over for Tom Osborne. They were good, and then they got what I called they were the pre-Tennessee, which like they got too big for themselves, and they were like, "Oh, we only won 9 games this year. You're fired, Frank Solich." And then went down the toilet. Tennessee, same way. Hey, Fulmer, we haven't won enough SECs. We're only winning 9 games in 10 games. I think 2 years after he went to an SEC championship, lost to Alabama, I believe, or Florida, one of the Tebow. I think that would have happened. I'm trying to think. They went to an SEC championship and they lost it. I'm trying to think who it was. It's probably Alabama or Auburn, one of those teams. And he was fired 2 years later. And Tennessee went right down the proverbial slide. So look, no, Nebraska to me would be a good one. I said, if we're being honest, probably half the SEC thinks they're blue bloods of college football, and they're probably not. So
very true.
I'm just saying, like we're blue bloods by association,
right? And it's just because, like
Ole Miss, we're blue. No, you're
stop
not.
it.
Stop.
Well, that's one of the things is like it's also generational, right? Where like you grew up and you had certain programs and where you were like just starting to be in college football and pay attention to it and whatnot that were great, and those might like. Who you thought was great during that time might not be great anymore. And same thing for me in like the 2000s, whatever. So,
but they ride the wave.
You had a good 5 or 10 years doesn't mean you're a blue blood.
This is a great discussion. I might have to carry this over, but you ride the wave of up and down seasons. But I think largely, here's how I define a blue blood. Traditionally, great program. They win. They have the traditions around it. They have the enthusiasm of a fan base that supports it. So even if they don't win, they're still kind of a big deal, I would say. And again, blue blood programs like college basketball, there's like 6. College football, I think you're talking Bama, you're talking Ohio State, You're talking Texas. I know people don't hate, but I mean, Texas is no good. Dude, Texas, always passion, intrigue, huge following. And even though they're down, they've largely been good more often than they've been down. They're having a downspin right now. Oklahoma, I think, would be one. Southern Cal, and I may not throw another one in that mix as far as a quote-unquote pure blue blood college football program. I think there's like 5. Any more than that, and you're just starting to, just hand them out to everybody.
So by proxy, you're saying that like Notre Dame.
Oh, Notre Dame. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay,
they would be
all
they would be 6th.
That's fine.
Not in any particular order, but yeah, Notre Dame. So you'd have what? Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, Southern Cal, Texas, and Oklahoma. 6. There you go. I think Oklahoma, because I want to say like Oklahoma has not won less than 6 games in like 50 years. Like it's something ridiculous.
Yeah. No,
like they are in a big run. So
that, and I think
they're like the flagship huge football love school. That's like, hey, love Oklahoma.
It's like, where's the cut? Like there's 10 schools, I think, other than that could have an argument to be a blue blood, but are they on the outside looking in, or are they not? That's kind of based on your parameters of what you think. Because like you said, if we start to have 15, 20, 25 blue bloods of college football, then we're just handing them out to anybody. So
you got to keep the list small. You got to keep the list small.
For sure.
Just like college basketball, it's Kansas. I think the reason they're called blue bloods in basketball is because they all wear blue, but it's like UCLA, Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, UNC, and I don't know. That might be it. There's 5 of college basketball where it's like
it's hard
they
to
love
argue it. Really anyone else.
So let me just make sure I got UCLA, Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, UNC. I don't really know if there's another one.
That's the crazy thing about it too, is like not only are they the blue bloods, like, and have they been good forever? You name those 5, they could be the preseason top 5 next year.
It could be.
I mean,
it could be.
It's always like that. That's why they're blue bloods.
All right, moving along. Take 3. We got to keep this thing rolling along. Take 3 tomorrow is game 6. We'll have it for you here with the Warriors and the Celtics. Is that the last game of the year? This is where I find out if PJ is a NBA conspiracy theorist or not.
Oh, really?
I.e., it must go 7 to appease the money, folks.
I don't think it has to go 7. I'll say that I'm pretty sure I said Warriors in 6 early, like before the series started. I will say it probably goes 7 though, because this has kind of had an on and off feel of the series. I don't think Boston has enough people around their big 3, the big 3 that they have right now, to win game 7. But I do think maybe they get one in the Garden there coming up. So I'll say it goes 7, but I think the Warriors just have too much ultimately.
All right. I think tomorrow's it. And it's karma, Boston. Don't print up T-shirts with a blank freaking banner on the back saying, like, this is it. Like, it wasn't over. Like, they did that for what was like game 3 or 4 the other night. Like, it was, you were up, you had 2 wins, and you're putting up shirts for everybody to wear that has all the titles and one blank banner. Like, is this, like, don't do that. Again,
there's a lot of different things.
It's Boston's fault for doing stuff like that. Don't do that.
There's the Boston guy that has the tattoo already of
the
championship.
You're a moron.
There's the Boston sign outside. It's Aisha Curry can't cook. It's literally her husband is Chef Curry. Of course, they both can cook.
No, listen,
what do you mean?
Listen, no. Here's the thing.
That T-shirt was great.
Look, there's 2 games left, and Golden State only needs to win one of them, and they have Klay and Steph. I would not get a tattoo of Golden State winning the championship, and they only need to win 1 game. Not doing it. Of course, I wouldn't get a tattoo for pretty much any reason because I can't think of anything that especially on this body, that I would want to sit there and look at every day for the rest of my life. No, much less putting on like a, hey, that would just be hey, 2022 NBA champs. Like, why? Like when you're 80 years old, you're gonna be like, grandson, grandpa put 2022 NBA champs, Boston Celtics. Did they win? Well, no, they didn't. But
it was crazy at the time.
It looks good. No,
it definitely felt like they were going.
Grandpa, not on your saggy leg. It really doesn't look good now.
Not at all. And whatever you cover it up with, that's not going to look good either.
Yeah. Actually, looks like 2032 now. The way the skin's wrinkling. I don't know, but that's a whole nother debate for another time. Let's take 3. We do it each and every day. This time we're coming right back We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas here with you. PJ Zuko filling in for Ben Troop and had an emergency he had to go take care of. So PJ has admirably jumped in the hot seat in the last few minutes to take you home with me the rest of the way. So thank you, PJ, for filling in. But we have a phone call, our good buddy AC on the line. AC, what's up?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking my call. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, today I want to talk about Anthony Davis. I know Anthony Davis said over the weekend or last week that he did not shot a basketball for since April 5th. So it's been 2 months. In my opinion, just like Stephen A. Smith barking A. Smith, they are overreacting. Come on, now, it's June, not September. Give this guy some break. Enjoy your vacation, whatever you want to do, because you have a team, you have a head coach. Enjoy your vacation. Make sure you report to their training camp in September and just run it. If you want to win a championship, start your training in September. Right now, everybody should go to the beach, just enjoy it, listen to this radio station 3 to 6 o'clock, so they should hear my call. I mean, just enjoy life, man. Why on earth everybody's overreacting? Anthony Davis said he did not shot a basketball for 2 months. Who cares if he doesn't shot a basketball for 2 months? He's making money, so why am I getting so emotional? It makes sense at all. So a guy like Stephen A. Smith, he barks like a dog. I could finish him off too at the same spot. But I love y'all. You guys are doing a great job. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to give you a prediction. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I want to rile up a lot of fans so they can call your station. Shout at me. It doesn't matter. I love y'all. That's why, brother PJ, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to hang up. Brother PJ, to honor your name, I'm going to eat some peanut butter jelly sandwich later.
Okay. See, that was a lot in a short amount of time. Look, Anthony Davis, is everybody overreacting? Of course they're not. Here's how I know they're not overreacting. Does Anthony Davis think he's one of the best big men to play the game? I know AC's not on the phone, but I'm going to say he probably thinks he is. Not doing that is why you're not Shaq. That's why you're not Kobe. That's why you're not LeBron, and you're not going to go down as one of the best players of your era, right? And I mean, you're going to say, it's June. Okay, it is June. I guarantee you LeBron might not be going the hardest in the offseason. I guarantee LeBron's put in some shots. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, LeBron James doesn't go, the season's over in April. I'm not picking up a basketball till September. Like, I can almost guarantee you he's not. And LeBron, I think, has a lot more to do than Anthony Davis does. Just away from the court. I'm not all up in the LeBron. I'm just saying, when I hear stuff like that, we're like, oh, man, even if it's off the cuff, I haven't picked up a basketball since April. And that's why you're not going to be considered great. That's why when you're in New Orleans, everybody forgot about you. That's why when... am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
There's a lot of different reasons. But
no, but I'm saying people go, oh, stuff like that doesn't matter. No, it does. That's why, again, if you want people to pay you like you're great,
yeah,
as Ben said, quote, it's your freaking job.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, hey, Anthony, we want you to play basketball from October 1st until April 10th, and then you can set it down and not pick it up again. Like, no. That is why Anthony Davis, to me, will not be a great player. He's a good player. Will he ever reach the elite status? I mean, he's playing with LeBron right now. What were we talking about when he was in New Orleans? Oh, man, great player. His team's not good. Like, and we've seen countless examples. Somebody can tell me wrong. It's fine. Seen countless examples of guys who were good players on bad teams. And we've seen guys who were good players on teams that weren't great, pull them along and get them to another level.
Yeah.
Is that Anthony Davis? I don't know. And again, I'm not saying you got to be like, hey, every day, 1,000 shots. Like,
no,
but I know when you see guys, everybody that's ever been considered elite, Kobe, LeBron, Mike, Magic, Larry Bird, I guarantee if you go ask them, hey, man, when the season was over, did you just not pick up a basketball until the preseason the next year? I guarantee you the answer is no. I'm just saying, is it a big deal at the end of the day? If he doesn't think it's a big deal, I guess it's not. But if you want to be considered an elite player, you probably can't just set it down and pick it back up when the season starts.
No,
just me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think even like you talk about the off season, you talk about taking breaks, resting up your body, whatever. Even then, there's guys in rehab and things like that and healing up their injuries and stuff that are still picking up a basketball and doing something. So Yeah, I think that is a little ridiculous. And like you say, you bring up those examples. I don't think a lot of those guys could go a long time without wanting to pick up a basketball. You know what I mean? Because it's just in them, like it's in their blood.
Well,
They wanna go out there and
but
play
I
it.
would say the same thing about any sport, right?
Yeah.
Tom Brady. Do you think Tom Brady hasn't picked up a football since December or January when they were eliminated?
Yeah, no, that's insane. Of course he has.
Like this whole career, the Patriots are done. Like, I'm not saying he just like doesn't set it down and comes back later. But it's like Tom Brady is Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers likes to go to Maui and he likes to go all over the world with I say the girlfriend of the month because I mean I can't keep up.
Yeah,
But
whoever he's dating.
but my point is, Aaron Rodgers probably didn't get eliminated in January and say, "Well, training camp's in July. I'm good." Right?
Yeah.
I say like I'm not saying he's out there, going 100% full, but I guarantee you he's at a local spot, dropping routes to somebody, throwing footballs.
Yeah.
Like, or in
saw videos of Russell Wilson doing the same thing. But Tom Brady, you mentioned him. He's playing plenty of golf, and he's showing that on his social media. But I guarantee you, he's playing football too. I think one of the other biggest problems I have with Anthony Davis right now too is like I saw a video, Kevin, of a lethal shooter as a guy on Instagram. He's not just a guy on Instagram though. He's an NBA shooting coach. Very well.
So I love talking to you, young bucks.
Right,
You hit me up with this stuff like, "Hey man, there's a guy named Lethal Shooter."
No, sure.
No, I don't know who
that's just his name. That's just his name on his Instagram. Okay, but he's an NBA shooting coach. He's
All right.
worked with a bunch of different people. I saw a tweet, Instagram post from him this morning saying, "Got some shots up with Anthony Davis today. First time we've worked together in a year and a half. A year and a half. Great to see you again, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Think back to a year and a half ago, Anthony Davis was dominating and the Lakers won a championship. So maybe you get some more work in with him, right? Not
Don't
take
work
a year and
with
a half
Lethal
break.
Shooter.
Well, no, work with him. Work with him more. Because you
I
saw what
got
happened
you.
last year, man.
I got you.
The shooting was off. He was injured all year. And taking a 2-month break of not touching the basketball is probably not making that any better. So I'm right there with you. I completely agree.
I think my name would be Brick Artiste. that would be my name if I were teaching
See
shooting.
that video of like there's a video of a guy putting shots up
Yeah,
in the
just
gym.
not even close. Yeah.
It's like a minute and 30 seconds long, and he's just
Yeah.
has the most ridiculous jump shot ever.
Except
it's going
now-
like over the basketball.
Except now it's been so long since I've played basketball. I used to play basketball a lot. It's been so long. Like I would be the guy that's old now trying to shoot. Like that would be me trying to shoot a three. Like, come on, get there.
Every shot,
Yeah.
the sound.
I'm at the age I will say this, PJ. This is with certain things, and I know we all get there. Like I don't know if people do this on the golf course because it costs a lot to play golf. So I would finish it out. But I will say this: one of the last times I quote unquote played basketball, I was at my son's school. We were in the gym. I'm sitting in the stands watching them do what they do. It's end of the game. Son throws me the ball and says, "Shoot one, Dad." I shoot it. I pop a three. I'm like, "That's it," and I walk off. I quit. He's like, "Shoot another one." I'm like, "Nope, not doing it."
Yep.
Nope, I'm done. I'm at that age where it's like, walk out on top. Don't sit there and put up
That's it.
17 more bricks because, hey, let the sun think you're a legend. Just walk
Exactly.
out there cold in my, my dress shoes and boom, done. See you. We're out.
That's a very
Let's
good point.
let's go get in the car.
For one, like you said, just to make him think, like, listen, that's all I need. That's
Yeah.
all I need. I'm that good.
Just roll the balls
Two,
out.
You made the right decision anyway, because you always leave on a made shot. So
That's right. I've tried to ingrain that in my children. They're like, "What do you mean?" It's like, you don't walk off the court on a miss.
You
It's just,
can't.
it's just bad karma. We'll come back. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on this Wednesday, counting you down towards Braves baseball as the Braves and the Nationals. Braves going for 14 in a row coming up later tonight, and it all kind of turned around as PJ Zuko filling in for Ben Troop here. All kind of turned around. Brian Snicker had a closed-door meeting. I always love these. Had a closed-door meeting with the team after a horrendous two-game losing streak to the Arizona Diamondbacks, who were not a great baseball team. And basically just said, look, guys, you're better than this. And they've turned it around, obviously, ever since then, and are in the middle of a 13-game win streak. My question is this. PJ, you've played sports, and I really wanted to ask Ben this before he had to go, but was what's the deal with team meetings? Like, do you think team meetings actually work? And Ben told me off air he thinks they do, but, I mean, that seems to be the go-to now. It's like, things are going bad. Hey, we kicked all the coaches out. We had a closed-door team meeting, and now we got everything going right. Like, do you think the team meeting deal is a go-to, help you turn it around ploy when you're going bad?
I think it definitely is a ploy. It is a go-to nowadays, as you mentioned. Does it work more times than not? I don't know. I would have to say that it depends on what is said and what is brought up in said team meetings. If there's specific instances, specific things that are affecting the team, and those are brought up in those meetings, they're addressed and they're thought, they're people are thinking of a way to fix said things.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I think those work. I think those work when there is a focus, when there is a, hey, this is going wrong. Maybe you can do this to fix this. Hey, this is going wrong. This is what I need to do to fix what I'm doing. And then we all kind of take responsibility over what's going on here. And we can change those things moving forward, or we get it all out in the open or whatever. But just having a team meeting to have a team meeting, I don't know. That doesn't work. So that's what I'm saying. It's not, it depends on what happens in said team meeting. Now, do I think necessarily that the Braves was specifically one of those where, listen, this and this and this are happening. We need to fix it. This is how we fix it. This is how we move forward. I don't know if that's what it was. It sounds just like, guys, we need to focus up. All right. We need to be better. We're better than this. We need to focus up and play better. And then they started winning. But the flip side of this is what I've brought up on second down. And Christian has a little bit different of opinion. He kind of swayed me to his side. I get that this might be some NFL or some NBA thinking of mine kind of put into baseball. But at the same time, not only did that team meeting happen, but Kevin, also, you've said it before too. They're not playing world beaters in this string of wins, right? Now, I'll say they have started showing up a lot better, right? They have been more consistent in most facets of the game, which is good. But do I think the team meeting changed that, or was that just finding the right groove at the right time against the right stretch of teams?
I think maybe some of it, but I think for the way I see Brian Snicker using it, it was kind of a redirecting of like, listen, guys, we're the defending World Series champs, and we just look like a double-A team out there against the Diamondbacks committing errors, things of that nature. Like, if we want to get where we want to be, you're going to have to focus, and we're going to have to raise it up to another level. And do I think that helped? Yeah. Now, you know who also has team meetings? The Pirates, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins. Everybody has these closed-door meetings to try to turn their season around. The Marlins apparently had a closed-door meeting to talk about how much they didn't like Jazz Chisholm, who's their best player, by the way. And that was reported by a number of different guys. And look, I think it's one of those things where anytime something goes bad, it has been kind of a go-to. I mean, bringing it locally, talk to high school football last year. Benedictine started out 0-2. Their coaches said, hey, we started out 0-2. The next Monday comes along. It's a holiday. I think it was Labor Day. And all the kids are in there, and the seniors are holding court with the team. Okay, I think it works. I think it works with certain teams and how they respond to do it. Are they overhyped? I don't know, but they might be a little bit, because bad teams have meetings sometimes too. Well, And sometimes bad teams just say the heck with it, and they're like, we're terrible. But I do think where it seems to be most effective is when you have a team that has high expectations, high goals, high loft, high talent, everything is up here, and you're playing below. That's when it works. Yep. If you're a mid-level team and again, this is no disrespect. If you're a kind of an average team and you have a team meeting, I don't know if it really gets you a whole lot more. I think if you're a bad team, it might short-term get you to play a little bit better. But I think really where they're effective is when you have an underachieving team. If you have a team that's just achieving or a team that's bad and just like, look, no matter what we do or how many meetings we have, like we don't have the players they have. Yeah. Their payroll is 100 and something million. We're paying 43 million. We have team meetings all day, right? We have team meeting every day, closed door. They're outspending us by 150 million. There's only so much we can overcome in that scenario. But I do think for teams that are underachieving, that are expected to play well, they can be very, very effective. Yeah, in my opinion. It's one of those things that people keep pointing back to. He's like, Snit walked in. It was like, he's not a guy for doing it. He's not a guy that likes to have a lot of team meetings. He's like, hey, we show up, we go about our business. We're pros. We know what to do. But I think at that point, when you drop 2 to Arizona and you're going through a piece of your schedule where it's like, as you said, I don't like look who you're playing. Exactly. That's the whole point why you have the meeting. It's not like we're playing the Yankees and the Blue Jays and all that in a row. We're playing teams you're supposed to beat. Right. And so that's why I think that was a good time to do it, because again, I that's one of my funny things now is people are like, oh, look who the Braves are playing. Well, go look at the September schedule for the Mets. There's 7 games against Pittsburgh. They got some Marlins in there. They got some, there's some bad teams that they will play as well. As far as I understand, everybody plays the same amount of games against other teams in the National League, and they share the interleague play team. So whoever the Braves are playing now, the Mets will play later. Yeah. So it will kind of even itself out. My point of this thing is 13 games is hard in any sport, and they're doing what you're supposed to do. Now, 13 in a row, who knows? That's crazy. But that's why you had the meeting of, guys, we're better than this. We're defending champs, and we're playing teams that are in last place. We don't play a team that has a winning record until June 20th, which is next week in San Francisco. You got San Francisco and the Dodgers. So you got to take advantage of that. And they finally started doing that, and this is what you get. Look, I'm not making any excuses for, are they beating the next World Series champ? No, they're not. But this is what good teams do. Like, no NFL team is apologizing for beating the Miami Dolphins or the New York Jets, right? It's like, hey, I mean, if we're going to do that, does Tom Brady have to apologize for like a couple of Super Bowls? Because like literally the Bills sucked and then the Jets and the Dolphins were awful, right? It's right true. Before they turned around, it's like you were playing in the worst division in football and you were winning Super Bowls. Or do you have to apologize because you had 6 games against horrid teams? No, you did what champions do. You beat them. Sure. That's that. So again, that's 2 different rants wrapped up in one segment, but it is what it is.
No, I do agree with you in certain contexts, though. Like for one, there is a threshold. If you have a team meeting when obviously you don't have the resources to win a good amount of games in the first place, then the team meeting isn't going to do a lot. Right? Like if the Browns of 5 years ago held the team meeting, that wasn't doing anything. You were purposefully losing. The same thing. Like there's the
owners probably came in and said, teams. "Quit having team. Exactly. Stop having team meetings."
Well, you guys you're getting us scared out there. Yeah. We almost won today. What is this? We went to overtime.
This team meeting is going to cost us the #1 pick.
What in the world?
Knock it off.
What are you doing? So yeah. So like I think there's that. Man, that really got me. So I think the other thing with the schedule right now too is I agree with you. I also think it's a stepping stone to me, right? Like you said, 13 in a row in any league, in any sport, it's incredible. It doesn't matter who you're playing. And to me, it's like, okay, we said for a long time, we need to see the Braves have a stretch, right? Because there just wasn't, there was 2 or 3 games maybe, and then they lose 2 or 3 and off and on and off and on. Now they've had a stretch, right?
No, up until this streak, they had not won more than 2 in a row and they hadn't lost more than 2 in a row. So yeah, there was no streak. There was no streak.
Now they've obviously overextended that quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's just like, all right, now the next stepping stone is let's see it against one of these better teams. I'm not discrediting what they've done already. I'm just saying I can't wait. more so, I can't wait to see this team, how they're playing now against the Dodgers, against San Francisco.
It's coming up next week.
And we'll see how that goes. I think also, a point you slipped in there as well, team meetings and addressing a team like this, or really any type of leadership that goes away from the norm of that leadership, catches a team's attention, without a doubt. Like you said, Brian Snitker, not one to do this a ton, right? Not one to get all riled up and crazy or anything like that at his players or whatever. But you know what? When you have a coach and he maybe you're used to him being loud all the time, right? And then he gets quiet and he says, guys, and then he really addresses something, you're like, oh crap, this is serious.
Yeah.
Right. This is so you take it, you address it a little bit different. So yeah, I think this is a situation where sure, it might have helped. I think sure, yeah, it does help that it happened during the weaker point of the schedule as well. But as you said, it was reactionary to losing 2 games to a bad baseball team as well.
And it's better. Again, they're better than what they were playing then. And obviously that is the case where it is coming from everybody here with this Braves team right now. We've got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Love to hear from you on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Also streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. Live video streaming on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Go to ESPN Coastal on YouTube. Give us a subscribe and a follow, and you can get notified every time we go live here on 3 and Out. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here on 3 and Out. Kevin Thomas is here. Ben had to step out, unfortunately, a family emergency. We'll hope to have him back soon. But PJ Zuko stepping in here to help us get you to Braves baseball a little bit later tonight. Ben, we'll have a conversation Ben had with Gregory Gibson earlier today for Troop Talk for you, and we'll hear from Cam Rogers of Believe, and he's national betting and golf analyst for them. We'll hear from him talking U.S. Open and certainly Live Tour versus PGA Tour, and that's been all on everybody's mind since that thing teed off, and where Phil's like legacy and all these guys' legacies moving forward. So we'll talk about that in the final hour as we count you down to Braves baseball. And I try to keep my voice from doing that. That was bad. I don't know what it is.
It happens every now and again.
Who'd have thought you could go through puberty at 40? But there you go.
Some say it happens a few times. So I mean,
does it? Is that a thing?
I have no idea. No, I don't think so.
Do you go through like if I hit 50, does my voice get deeper? Is that? Does that happen?
I don't know. That might. Who knows? I have it.
I'm just asking a question. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of like older guys from like the older age have like really deep voices and whatnot, but especially when they get older. So hey,
old man voice. I don't.
Maybe that'll happen. Who knows? I also kind of have a theory that I don't know how deep I can get into this, but I feel like they probably drank and smoked a lot more than we do. Especially nowadays, like just
so they had some help, is what you're saying.
So most likely, because there's also guys. You look back at pictures where they're like they got like full beards. They're 16 years old.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I think you had that as well.
Well, I mean, I was close, but not as crazy.
I've never been able to do that. Never.
I actually, you were talking about tattoos earlier today. I didn't want to be
that's okay.
Too rude, but you can get a tattoo of a beard.
I could. Like, for those of you watching on the web stream on YouTube and Twitter, this right here is like, honest to God, like 3 weeks, no shave. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah, so yeah, I've not been one of those guys, but I always turn it around. Like people are like, ha ha, you can't grow a beard. I'm like, do you shave every day? They're like, well,
sure.
Well, I mean, I do, but okay.
That's like me with,
there you go. The end.
Like me with tall people, man. It was like, I can count.
You're like being tall up there.
Yeah, I can count on my hand how many times I've hit my head on a doorpost or something. Guess what? 0 times. I haven't had to duck for anything my whole life.
It's not even a thought.
It's fantastic.
Not even a thought in your brain.
Not at all. Hey, can I fit under this? Of course I can. I'm 5'5".
The problem is
I don't even have to duck.
The problem is for tall folks, they're also like, PJ, can you get that for me?
Nope.
Can you fit in that space over there? I can't get in it.
PJ, can you get up? Can you reach that? Do you have a chair?
No, I'm just saying it's always in the small. Like one of my favorite like low key off to the side movies is U571. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
It's a sub movie. Well, anyways, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, it's only like a decade older or not. But so something happens on the sub, and they have to have a discussion like, hey, there's 2 small guys on the boat. One of them's got to go get in the small space. Who's it going to be? It's like, I'm too big. Can't do it. Need one of you small guys to go get in the crawl space of the sub.
Sure.
Great movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Just a little review there. We got more to come. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Coming up tomorrow, boy, it has been quite a couple of weeks here across the golfing world. Needless to say, with all the Live Tour, the PGA, and now the USGA, kind of in the middle of it all. And joining us here from Believe Network, the national betting and golf analyst for Believe, it is Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 and Out. Cam, welcome. How are you?
What's going on, guys? Great to be with you. A lot to talk about in the world of golf. It has been a surreal last few weeks, no doubt.
And again, it seems to me like I mentioned this to Ben, like the USGA is putting on the US Open. And so on some level, I appreciate some of the guys who are like, look, this is the US Open. Can we talk about this? But the USGA is here putting on their tournament, and we're talking about the PGA, and we're talking about the Live Tour, and how this, I guess, back and forth between these two is all going to play out. And I think it was Brooks Koepka's like, you're taking away from one of the majors here.
Well, listen, I think there are journalists out there who have to do their job. They have to ask these questions. It very much is an important story because we have never really had a situation like this, certainly for me in my lifetime, in terms of a rival tour, which is posing as a real rival. We're talking about Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, potentially even Brooks Koepka going on over to this Live Golf Tour. So there are going to be some ramifications from that as far as the PGA Tour is concerned. And also the USGA is allowing these Live golfers to play in the US Open, despite all of these Live golfers being suspended by the PGA Tour. I mean, it's a wild story. And if you have players who are getting mad about getting asked about that, like, are you living under a rock? Like, you should have expected this.
And Cam, is this good for golf though? As we mentioned it, I mean, outside of Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, you didn't get a lot of rivalries as far as like players when it came to golf. But at the end of the day, good publicity, bad publicity, all eyes are going to be on the Live Tour or versus the PGA from as long as, I mean, at least for the next year or so.
Listen, I'm on your show talking about it right now. I think it's fantastic. It's getting the conversation going. To your point, Bryson and Brooks was great, but that's over. So what's next now? And I think we have some real animosity between these two different areas of golf. You have this dichotomy, guys, where it's like some players are for legacy and morals, if you will, like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas, and others are for their paycheck. And who am I to criticize either direction, really? Everybody has to make their own decision here. And so, going forward, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how many PGA Tour players the Live Tour can cherry pick, if you will, over to their golf league, and whether this actually creates a legitimate rivalry. It really could going forward. And honestly, I bet it's super awkward in that locker room at the US Open right now in terms of guys interacting.
Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 and Out. And Cam, to me, that's what everybody's waiting for, right? It is the Live Tours out there. We all know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
They still get to play the majors for now. To me, everybody's sitting back and saying, what is the real blowback here on Phil and Dustin Johnson and others? Because a lot of people are saying, hey, look who you're getting the money from. And the other people on the other side will say, well, look who you're getting the money from, or doing business with, PGA Tour. And I think people are waiting to see if there's not a lot of fan blowback on these guys, maybe they can coexist. Obviously, these guys want to play the majors. I'll start there. They're playing this week. Do you think the Masters and the Open Championship, the Royal and Ancient, are going to say, I mean, at the end of the day, we can invite who we want. It doesn't appear to be a big deal. We're going to let them play.
That's the nightmare scenario for the PGA Tour, right, guys? Because in theory, you could cash out on the Live Tour and yet still play in the 4 major championships every single year. Important distinction to your point. RNA, the PGA, Augusta National Golf Club, and the USGA all run their respective major championships. So the PGA Tour has nothing to do with them. And so, you have the US Open, which prides itself on just that, being open. Anybody can qualify. Anybody's allowed in. So that's their logic. Probably going to be the same logic with the RNA at the Open Championship, the British Open. Hey, we're open. Come and play if you qualify. What is really going to be interesting is what Augusta National is going to do. And my prediction is they will shut it down to Live golfers unless you have won a Masters before. Because if you've won a Masters before, you have lifetime exemption. And so you're fine from there. The PGA will be interesting as well. And so I think it's going to be a really intriguing storyline to watch. And we won't get a decision from the PGA or Augusta National anytime soon. We will, of course, hear from the Open pretty soon. But, if 2 allow and 2 don't, I mean, it's just going to be a funky situation. I mean, think about this, guys. a microcosm of this wild story. Phil Mickelson is going for the career Grand Slam as a suspended member of the PGA Tour. I mean, it's just insane.
I know everybody get into the whole moral, compass of the guys that took the money from LIV, and we understand that. But I think the PGA, they really dropped the ball on this whole loyalty thing. They was thinking that they're loyal to the PGA, but at the end of the day, when people say, quote, they did it for the money. No, if you're a pro golfer, all of y'all do it for the money. You, as Kevin mentioned, you just don't like the fact that I didn't want to take money from this entity.
Exactly. And listen, I think the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, got a little too fat and happy, a little too complacent about this whole LIV Golf Tour situation. Like, oh, nobody's going to leave. And look, Phil, DJ, Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, all these guys are major champions. Patrick Reed, they're all going over here to cash out. And so if you're Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, you sort of have to huddle up with your inner circle and be like, guys, how do we improve the tour? Because this is a serious threat. How do we make this better? And so the logic is you bring in more fans, you bring in more ad revenue, you bring in better TV packages. That means bigger purses, and that means more money for PGA Tour players. So hopefully the takeaway here for the PGA Tour is to improve things and sort of make the LIV Golf Tour an afterthought. Now, LIV could go on forever, guys. I mean, there's an endless amount of money here with the Saudi-backed league. But it's just a question of who's tuning in and how many people will tune in. Stay tuned on that because, first of all, it's not going to last if we're just doing YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Like, they got to find a TV partner.
Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 to the golf this week. I mean, obviously, this would be intriguing. I don't know if Phil's played enough to have a shot to win it, but what if Dustin Johnson and Rory are, 3 and 4 going into Saturday? I mean, this is going to get awful interesting, not only from a golf standpoint, but for everything we just talked about. Do any of those guys who have crossed over have a legitimate shot to come out and win this week?
Yeah, I really don't think anybody from the LIV Tour does. Phil Mickelson hasn't played on tour in quite some time, and last week he wasn't all that great. His putting was horrible. Dustin Johnson has been pretty rough so far in 2022. I give a slight to Patrick Reed, only because he's steadily getting better. He's great around the greens, has really good course history at the U.S. Open. And I think this could be somewhat of a scramble fest this week, guys. We're talking about the Country Club, the second smallest greens in major championship history. So if everybody's missing greens, everybody's in the same bucket. And it comes down to who are the best players around those greens, Patrick Reed being one of them. But we got to handicap this too. Like, all the distractions and all the questions they're getting about LIV, right? How does that sort of cloud their mentality, if you will, trying to win a U.S. Open? It's hard enough. Then you throw in the fact that the media is all over you. You got to think about that too.
I know that most of the times when you are a pro anything, it's all about your legacy. How are they going to remember me when my playing days are over? Phil Mickelson. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about a guy in the last month that has been in the media for the wrong reason. Then you talk about the LIV and taking the money, which some people like and some people don't. What is Phil Mickelson's legacy at this current juncture?
Phil Mickelson is one of the more confusing characters in golf history, right? We're talking about a guy who has obviously gone through different layers of his career. First of all, it took him forever to win a major championship. He finally won a major. Then he started rattling off more major wins. And then, he sort of developed this persona as Mr. Thumbs Up family man, signing autographs till the sun goes down. But also there's this aspect to him where obviously he has a massive ego. He's got a gambling problem. He's cashing out on $200 million, perhaps because of that gambling problem. And, known for his awful apologies, throwing Tom Watson under the bus at the Ryder Cup. So you see that there are so many different layers to Phil Mickelson. That's why there's a biography about him by Alan Shipnuck, and I definitely want to read it at some point. So in terms of his legacy, I would say very confusing. And I am sort of struggling with my own self in terms of actually generating an opinion on his legacy. Hey, he's a Hall of Famer. Brandel Chambly went out and said, get him out of the Hall of Fame. That's a ridiculous tweet. I don't know why he said that. And so, in that regard, he's done some good things for the game. I think the matches have been a great thing, guys, against Tiger, and you have Mahomes and all these guys getting involved. It's been great for charity as well. So there are a lot of layers to it. And obviously you got to allow for people to make their own judgment.
All right, Cam Rogers joining us here. Give us your favorite this week there at the Country Club to bring home a major championship. Are we looking at a first-time winner? Who you got?
Yes, we are. Xander Schauffele is my pick to win. First-time winner in terms of the majors, of course. Depending on where you look, 22-1, something along those lines in the outright market. 5 top 10s and 5 U.S. Open appearances. Only Bobby Jones back in 1920 has a longer streak at this tournament. 7th on tour, tee to green, 8th in strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds. The best sand player in this field, top 10 in bogey avoidance as well. He's built for U.S. Opens. I think it's time for him, guys.
So there you go. Take it to the bank. You can follow Cam on Twitter. Great Twitter handle, by the way, Mr. Rogers 99. Won't you be his neighbor there on Twitter all day long? Cam, we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Great catching up with you.
Appreciate it. Cam Rogers joining us here on 3 and Out, part of the Believe Network there as he covers golf as national betting analyst there as well. And certainly a lot of intricacies, as he said, just outside of the golf, but how do you factor in what's happening outside of the golf course into how guys play this week? To me, that's very interesting because the first couple of days have been nothing but questions about why are you playing over there, and guys coming out saying, well, why would you go play over there? This is the best. You know, I mean, it's kind of been like the stump speech versus the defense of why you're playing over there so far the first 2-3 days this week.
Kevin, the library is officially closed when you talk about golf right now because everybody's talking, right? Rory, it's almost like the PGA versus the Live guys. He's saying like they're taking the easy road, and Live guys saying this. I just say this. When you talk about golf, what makes you, unless you're just a lover of golf or just a lover of the game, you're going to follow certain guys, you're going to watch. Controversy sells. And right now, you got a bunch of guys, because no matter what, I ain't get a chance to ask Cam, but how many guys that didn't go with the Live Tour behind the scenes saying, who I turned away a lot of money, and at the end of the day, well, I mean, just like anything else, Kevin, this is going to have its, 30 days of headlines, and it's going to die like anything else.
Well, I mean, but here's the thing: is it done yet? I mean, because again, there's a lot of people that think you read into guys' comments, and you have guys that are kind of tossing aside, like Brooks Koepka. Hey guys, we're at the U.S. Open. Why are we letting all this bring a dark cloud over a golf championship, a golf major, right? Didn't say anything about it. And a lot of people said, is Brooks just waiting till the majors are over and then he's going to jump and take the money? And again, I think some of the guys, because as he said, the Live Tour has as much money as they care to use to try to lure guys away. It's not just like $1 billion. I mean, they got several, I think it's hundreds of billions of dollars, but I think they've committed several tens of billions of dollars to this thing.
Wow.
So the faucet is open, right? They can afford to go after certain guys. How much are guys like Brooks Koepka, who has largely come out and is like, look, no offense, I don't care about playing in Phoenix. I don't care about playing in Wisconsin. I care about the majors. If he knows he can play in those things, why wouldn't he go? I mean, there's a lot of people who think, hey, maybe he's waiting on this and the British Open or the Open Championship to be played, and then he jumps. Yeah. So I think there's still a lot of people who think there are more golfers who are ready to jump. They're playing the majors and then going for the payday.
Well, the whole thing about it is too. Even with Brooks saying, "So I don't care about playing in Phoenix." Brooks, you're.
Well, I mean, he didn't say that specifically, but that's kind of what
you're a pro golfer. I mean, you play every day. You have to play golf. So think about your home course. Think about if you somebody said, "Do I care about it?" No, you don't care about it. But think about not caring about it and still making that much money for playing in it. Think about making more money in non-majors. Now, no. You're going to make more money than you've ever made in golf, not even in golf, period. And I get it. The whole moral thing, I am not taking away anybody who decided I'm not gonna be able to take money from those guys. All right. But you're thinking about it. Because like you said, Kevin, the PGA is going to really have to decide, all right, man, how are we really going to do this moving forward? Because we don't want to ostracize every single person because of what they did, because what's going to happen to, you know how it is, Kevin, somebody behind the scenes say, man, you might have to make a public apology, because if these guys start winning majors, right, then what are you going to do? Like you mentioned, if it is Rory, Dustin Johnson, in 3 and 4 on the leaderboard, hey man, I don't necessarily think, because you know who's loving it? The Live Tour is loving all of it. Give us all the publicity we can get. We don't care about if you like us or don't like us, because at the end of the day, man, money talks. Money's going to talk no matter what. But when Cam said the PGA is going to have to do something to accommodate, what are those accommodations going to actually look like?
Well, I mean, I think one that I think is coming is, hey, look, I'm not saying I'm going to leave. I'm Rory McIlroy, but Jay, guys, they're taking care of the caddies. Like, the caddies are getting money. They're living, like, take care of those guys, right? Like when they're out here with us every week, those guys are getting paid. They're getting cuts, right? Hey, my guy I'm caddying for in the Live Tour ain't getting cut, which means what? Cha-ching, I'm getting something just for going. Earning my way as a caddy, who obviously does not make as much as the golfers. You got golf caddies on the PGA Tour going, listen, every week we show up. I wear a bib. That bib has sponsors on it. I have to carry it around for the PGA Tour. Do I get a cut of that? No, I do not. I'm a walking billboard for the PGA Tour each and every week. I don't get a guaranteed cut. My lodging doesn't get paid for. I come out of my pocket and I make way less than the guy I'm holding the bag for. Like, well, unless I'm bagging for Tiger or something. If my guy's scrambling to make 10 grand a week, well, guess what? Do the quick math. Let's say I get 10%. That's $1,000. I paid for my air flight. I had to stay somewhere for a week. I had to pay food. So you might have, then Uncle Sam's going to take their cut. I might have done all that for at the end of the day to net a couple $100. God forbid he doesn't make the cut. I get zero. So I think if I'm the PGA Tour guys, I'm going to PGA Tour. Hey, guarantee something for the caddies. So each week they're taken care of on some of the base stuff, like pay for them to get here, pay for them to have a place to stay, or come up with caddy lodging, whatever you want to do. Take care of them from that standpoint and let their money go further. I think that's one thing that's absolutely going to happen. We'll come back with more. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Now it's Troop Talk with Ben Troop.
We're not victorious. Let no one come back alive.
Not that kind of troop. This kind.
What up, everybody? I am Ben Troop. This is 3 and Out, and every week I sit down with one of the best among us for Troop Talk. And my next guest is no stranger to the big things going on in the ATL. If you haven't seen the Black Sports Biz Symposium is going down this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And my next guest is the founder of it, Mr. Greg Gibson Jr. How's everything going on with you today, Mr. Gregory?
Everything is great, Ben. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I know. Listen, I know you've been. I know you've had a chance to walk around with the mayor today. How has it been bringing something like the Black Sports Biz to the city of Atlanta, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium? How has it been for you?
Look, it's been amazing. The only place that I would ever kick this off would be Atlanta. It is the perfect place, as it's referred to as the Mecca. If I was going to bring anything around Black people in sports, it was going to kick off here. So I'm excited to be here.
And I like the fact that we kept it specific. I mean, I think too often at times when you talk about media, people will say, why the Black Sports Biz? Why so specific? Why did you make it a point to say, look, I need to bring all these Black professionals, students alike, men, women in this industry, to bring them to the Mecca in Atlanta, Georgia, to make sure that we all get to be around each other, learn from each other, grow from each other, and potentially have some collaboration and partnerships?
Well, it's because intentionality matters and there's strength in numbers, right? Like, this is very much a conference to bring people together for development, for networking, for inspiration, but it's also a show of force. These are Black professionals and students whose voices need to be heard, who need to be developed, need to be encouraged, and bringing everybody together to create a home for Black professionals within sports and those who endeavor to be in sports. I felt like that might be one of the better ways to create some of the change that we're looking to see.
And Gregory, when you talk about something of this magnitude, I understand that it's going down, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But what behind the scenes, what kind of undertaking did you have to go through to put together something of this magnitude?
It's been 2 years of planning. It's been 2 years of planning to put this together. Truth be told, I held an event. So I'm also the founder of the HBCU Battle of the Brains. And when the pandemic started, we held a mentoring event virtually. We had a lot of our students reach out to share that, job recs had been pulled. There was some confusion. It was a pandemic. We were entering into it and didn't know what to expect. And coming out of that, had quite a few mentors that emerged that were executives within sport that shared that, hey, if a student got to meet with me, they have access to the sports industry. But if they didn't, then they remain as iced out as they were prior to the event. So my co-founders, Kevin Dimhoff and Steve Weish, Kevin Dimhoff of the Los Angeles Rams, Steve Weish of the NFL Network, we just had a conversation. I was sitting in a hotel in Atlanta, and we had like a 3-hour FaceTime discussing what all this could be and the impact that we wanted to create. Because again, we remember what was going on in June of 2020. I don't have to restate any of that. And then we just kind of dove in, right? Like Arthur Blank expressed his interest in really supporting this initiative. So they came on board really early in the process. It's part of how we were able to host this event in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and the support that they provided for the students and so forth. And then we just kind of socialized this internally within the industry, which is why we have such an amazing group of speakers and educators is what I would like to refer to them as coming together. But it was definitely an undertaking that's 2 years in the making. We are dealing with real change. Again, we were dealing with a world that refused to get right. You know what I mean? So initially, this was going to take place in 2021, but we knew that it would be important to host this in person. There's something about connectivity that matters and building our community and building it stronger. So we are so excited to kick things off tomorrow.
Talking with Gregory Gibson Jr., founder of HBCU Battle of the Brains and founder of Black Sports Biz, the Black Sports Biz Symposium going down in Atlanta, GA at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You talk about a guy like, you talk about Steve Weish. I mean, a guy who, the great thing I love about Steve Weish is obviously you see him on television, does an incredible job. Him and his partner in crime, Jim Trotter. I'm definitely a big fan of those guys, but he doesn't stray away from Black issues. He doesn't stray away from speaking up, because a lot of times, how it is, Gregory, when you have a platform, people will think, no, Steve, man, you already in a sense made it as far as like your career goes. Why do you keep speaking out? Talk about having him as a partner, a guy who's in the trenches as far as like the National Football League goes, but a guy who has influence on a lot of people in the industry.
Absolutely. Look, Steve Weiss has been a godsend as it relates to pulling things together. We all bring different skill sets and different networks to the equation. And if there was anybody solely responsible or holistically responsible for Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, I will say, Coach Prime Deion Sanders, kicking off the event as our day one closer, it's Steve Weiss. He's connected and, again, intentional about ensuring that the opportunities for our Black and brown students, not just for the symposium and Battle of the Brains, which he's connected to both of them, but also through his HBCU Legacy Bowl that he hosts. Like, the work that he does in this space speaks for itself. And it's amazing to have him as a partner.
Gregory, talk about the HBCU influence. I know you keep talking about, obviously, Steve watching what he did for the Legacy Bowl, being able to get a guy like Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, at Jackson State. Talk about HBCUs and making sure something like this is just as big for them, because when we think about the legacies in colleges and universities, it doesn't get bigger for Black people for HBCUs.
Well, our HBCUs are vital. They're pillars to our Black community. And the one thing that I am clear on is that number will either stay the same or go down. It will never increase. So we have to be extremely intentional in our fight to not only include them, but hold them up and lift them up. I am not an HBCU graduate. Part of why I founded HBCU Battle of the Brains is I saw a lot of the other institutions that were hosting things that were focused on Black gradually go to where the money is. And I won't get much deeper than that, but I will say that one of the premises of creating an event that's focused on HBCUs is, as long as HBCUs remain Black, our impact remains Black. And that's the group of folks that I've locked into wanting to help succeed. And it's not in opposition to anyone else as much as really loving my people and wanting to provide them with as many opportunities as humanly possible.
Talk about Gregory Gibson, founder of HBCU Battle of the Brains, as well as the Black Sports Biz Symposium going down in Atlanta, GA at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Gregory, being intentional, you keep on using that word over and over again. How important is it that, it's going to be a lot of speakers, it's going to be a lot of people of influence at the symposium for the next 3 days? How important is it for us to walk out of this thing understanding you need to be intentional in what you're doing, no matter what work you're doing in this industry, to make sure that when we have an opportunity to be able to bring us together, to make sure that we are doing our part to help each other? Because I'm in this industry, I thank God for it every single day, but every time a young Black man, a young Black girl comes up to me, asks me how, I want to be able to tell them, look, these are the type of resources I have, these are the type of people you can talk to. Talk about being intentional, making sure that we at least are we're going to take a lot of things from it, exactly, but making sure we have that mindset walking out of there.
Absolutely. I think it's really easy to get distracted by life, right? Like, I'm not going to state my age, but I graduated high school in the 90s. I'll just put it that way. And one of the things that my dad told me growing up was, even a person who won the lottery planned to win the lottery by buying a ticket. It is extremely important to be intentional, because there are a host of things that will come up that will move you off your rock. And if you lose focus of that, all the things that were well-intended that you wanted to do, you'll look back on and say, I wish. I don't want to say I wish when I leave this earth. And I don't know how much time I have on this earth. I hope it's another 100 years. But I want to spend that time doing everything that I can, which is why all the things that I do are in alignment. There's a connectivity to each one of those things to help further that mission. And I think for anybody who wants to get anywhere that they actually prescribed for themselves, they have to be intentional about getting there.
Talk with Gregory Gibson Jr., founder of HBCU Battle of the Brains, as well as this Black Sports Biz, the Black Sports Biz Symposium going down at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, GA. Gregory, was this growing up, my grandma would always tell me that everybody has a moment. And that's my great grandma saying it. I mean, she's saying everybody. Did you feel as though this was your moment? We all have things that we want to do in this life. We have things we want to achieve, but there are some times that you get an inkling to do something to say, man, I might not know how big this is. I might not know how impactful this is, but the HBCU Battle of the Brains, that's one. But the HBCU, the Black Sports Biz, did you feel as though this was my moment? Because as you mentioned, it was supposed to happen in 2021. What made you realize to say, look, I have to make sure this thing comes to the forefront because I'm doing it for more than just me?
I don't start anything I don't plan on finishing. And the reason why I wanted to push forward with this is we saw the change. And we can look around for whoever else should be involved with this and try to find out who the right person is. I don't see this as my moment because it's not about me. It is our moment. Anybody who knows me, and I look forward to getting to know everybody who walks through that door, knows that the work that I do is focused on us. because we are the star. We are good enough. We are important enough to be showcased. It's why, again, we have our professionals here in a football stadium, in a soccer stadium. The people that are in this industry are equally as responsible for the success of these teams and leagues. And we wanted to show them how important that they are to this. So I'm not deflecting around it being my moment. I'm just telling you that it's not. It's a moment for us and our people to come together in ways that we haven't in sports.
Gregory Gibson Jr., founder of HBCU Battle of the Brains, founder of Black Sports Biz, the Black Sports Biz Symposium going down in the ATL at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Gregory, when you think about all the speakers, I've never been to a symposium before. I've never seen one this many speakers and this many people of impact. How were you guys able to get this many speakers? I mean, I'm seeing Jamel Hill, I'm seeing L. Duncan, I'm seeing Coach Prime, I'm seeing Mr. Warren. How did you guys go about picking who you picked, and how and what type of time and energy goes into that?
Look, you're part of this industry, so you know that word moves quickly, right? So when we first started socializing, and again, this is 2 years of planning, the more you get the message out, the more people will come to you and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. I've got this idea. Like, this is for the right reasons, right? It's for helping our students have a better opportunity to get in. It's for better nurturing to pour into them from what this world takes out of them. So it's easy to get people aligned with, hey, I want to do this and I want to speak to my people and I want to pour into them. And it's not, nobody's come with the egos of, I need this, or my writer says this. It's, I want to be in the building to ensure that this goes as well as possible, as impactful as possible. So it wasn't an ask. This isn't Hollywood. This was very much about, let's all come together. Atlanta's an easy place to get to. And yes, you speak about the number of speakers. I live in Austin, Texas, and I've been there since 1999. And I share that to say, I'm a child of South by Southwest. I've grown up with that. So a lot of how I built this was to mirror after creating a Black South by Southwest. So if you think that this is big, stay tuned for what we have coming in future years.
Gregory Gibson Jr., founder of HBCU Battle of the Brains, as well as founder of the Black Sports Biz, the Black Sports Biz Symposium going down Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Everybody's going to be there. I'm definitely going to be there. So this is not something I want to hear about it. I want to be about it by being in the seats. Gregory, I appreciate you taking the time, sir. Look forward to meeting you.
Likewise, brother. I appreciate you. Love the show. And I look forward to you being in the building tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
Good to have you back here on 3 and Out on this Wednesday. Kevin Thomas here with you. PJ Zuko filling in here for Ben Troop to end the show as we get the Braves and Nationals coming up in just a little bit. PJ will hand you off at 5:50. Braves going for 14 in a row. I'm not good at math, but that's 2 straight weeks without losing if you can do it. And the Braves haven't lost in the month of June, so they are on pace potentially to have one of the best Junes they've ever had as a franchise. I think 21-5, as good as it's gotten, and they're 2/3 of the way there potentially on the win total if they can sweep the Washington Nationals tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, just a team I feel like you're very confident in being able to win against right now, especially with how you're playing. It's good to see as well this team respond in a good way as well as you can to the news they got a couple days ago, which was Ozzie Albies going down for at least a couple months. So, how would that, I was interested, how would that play in to just kind of how this streak is going? And it seems like they've been able to keep the roll going, obviously. So hopefully they can continue to do that and not kind of look past anything or anything like that, keep this roll going. And I was thinking about it too. Similar, obviously not this many in a row. And if they can do it for 2 weeks, it's fantastic. But really, it's not the same way it happened. Obviously, you had a bunch of trades and everything like that at the deadline last year. But this kind of reminds me of August. You talk about the beginning of June, really, they just started to catch fire. Last August, they really just all of a sudden were winning, having winning streaks and caught fire, and obviously took that all the way till the end of the year. So how long can this one go, and how consistent can they be after they get a loss? I'm very interested to see that.
Well, I mean, it's going to happen.
I think you're confident. I think you're confident at least, though, tonight. You're pretty confident that you can make it 2 weeks.
I mean, at this point, are you mad when you lose? Like, come on! You had that one. Like, you lost to the Nationals. Like, at this point, it's like, I mean, you've won 13 in a row. I mean, it's looking good. Like you said, you like to make it 14. You go to Chicago this weekend. Look, anything can happen in the Windy City. It's a fun ballpark to play in. But, look, 14 in a row, you're playing extremely well. Michael Harris, what can you say about, since he's come up, has way exceeded expectations. You fill in for Ozzie Albies with Arcia. He goes yard last night. Obviously, he's not going to do that every night, but how well consistently can he fill in for him game after game? I think that's going to be huge to see what he can do over the course of the long haul. Because as I said, anything in baseball, if you look at a 1-game sample size, I can make any team look to be awesome, right? I really can. You give me one game, I'm like, oh, over the last one game, he's been hitting 400 with two homers. Yeah.
At one point this year, didn't like the Pirates beat the Dodgers twice or something?
The Pirates actually swept the Dodgers.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, there's this, you look at nobody's saying the Pirates are going to be World Series contenders. So you're doing what you're supposed to do, which is take care of business against the teams you're supposed to do it against. And I think what's made this so impressive is, all the Mets fans are coming out, oh, they're doing it against, like, well, the Braves weren't doing it against teams like this early in the season. And now they've kind of turned it around and have got this thing back to very manageable. As I told Ben, hey, a game a week, and you're going to be there. And right now, they're just 5 games out. We're going to hand it off. Braves and Nationals coming your way next 5:50 with the pregame coverage going for 14 in a row. We'll see you tomorrow here on 3 and Out.